Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing well. How are you?
Awesome.
Great. I'm Kieran from the Wefunder team. We have Jason and Claudius on the investor panel today. They're just going to be asking you questions about your business. But to get us started, can you give us a quick 30-second overview of your business? And then they'll jump into their questions afterwards.
Yeah, awesome. So I positioned Curastory as the anchor for video sponsorship. Anchor was acquired by Spotify for podcasting. So the entire process of uploading video, editing it, finding a sponsor, and then distributing to your social channels, that's what Curastory is.
Amazing. I definitely resonate with that analogy. I use Anchor, and it's a very simple platform and technology and tool, able to produce a podcast from your phone, quite frankly. Can you tell us a little bit about I'd love to get into a bit about the IP you guys own, since we're talking technology here. Can you go into a little bit more about that? I know you mentioned some ML models that you guys are building. How are you guys incorporating all that into this tool?
Yeah, so I do have a data science background. I started as a data scientist at ESPN. So a lot of our technology, so we project engagements on videos, that's patented. And we also kind of allow brands to kind of filter target market, consumer demo, their budget, and all of these filters that are needed for brands. And we also calculate ROI with a patented ROI algorithm where we're kind of pulling in metrics and data from their websites, their ad accounts, and all of that good stuff. Because at the end of the day, all brands care about is ROI and reaching their target market.
What really resonated with me is a little bit of the story and the opportunity kind of coming together, especially around the NCAA and athletes and entertainers being able to own their own story, project it out into the world, find their own fans, create their own opportunities. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that and how that kind of came together for you. And obviously with your ESPN background, I imagine you have some perspective to offer.
Yeah, totally. So I was at ESPN for 2 years and it was really interesting. A lot of our shows that have been just around for decades got axed while I was there. And it was kind of this trend that was happening. And I think obviously with the internet and social media, it's one of the reasons why. And ESPN wasn't the worldwide leader in content anymore. And so it was crazy to me how we would just take an athlete's post, tweet, video, throw a pre-roll ad on it and monetize it. And like that isn't available for them, specifically with video. Like podcasting has had its boom and kind of being able to monetize for that. But video is still, hey, like post to YouTube, pray that you reach a good rev share, or do Patreon, like beg for money, or like you have to do influencer marketing. And so all of those options they're horrible options, especially with YouTube taking a 45-55 split. And obviously this TAM, no one argues about it. So I'm specifically kind of starting with a target market that I have a monopoly over with Founder Market Fit, and that's athletes. And every single athlete that I've talked to that does podcasting uses Anchor. And I'm just like, okay, like, why do you use Anchor? And to Claudius's point, it's literally just, it's so easy. There's no barriers to entry really. And with athletes not having any time in the day, specifically if they don't have assistants or brand managers, we kind of want it to be that easy for video as well. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm starting with athletes. And I feel like they've just been taken advantage of a lot, but it goes beyond to all video creators.
I was going to say, as a former Ohio State University NCAA football player, I should definitely say I definitely resonate with this idea. It's one of those things where athletes are really limited in what they can do, and sometimes largely due to regulatory bodies, like the NCAA, for example. So how are you planning on going around these kind of things?
Totally. So we've already talked to the NCAA. We've gotten approved by them because we have no institutional involvement. So the current players in the market that I would say are indirect competitors, they are subscription. So they take a fee or they get a monthly subscription from the schools, which then having that money go out to the athletes is a big no-no. So the NCAA has come out and said that. Also, our head of public policy, Debria Bradshaw, she worked with NCAA. She knows them very well. And since we are starting with a target market that does have a lot of red tape, we're just making sure like our terms of service and just basically all of our content marketing, and honestly just hopping on the phone with them and just making sure that certain things they understand and don't kind of do. So like having your logo and like videos and things like that to where they can't do that. So just honestly doing that, which doesn't really scale at the end of the day, but in the beginning when you're building a marketplace, you kind of have to do those things. So
Nice.
So from a traction perspective, you know, where are you guys today? How's your customer base? Like, do you have any particular people that you're especially proud to kind of brag to us or tell us about? And then from a product standpoint, kind of where are you going forward?
yeah, totally. So our MVP is going to be done end of month. I've literally been coding it simultaneously while finishing this race with our CTO as well. And so I have scraped, I think, almost every pro athlete, both Olympics, like tennis, soccer, and also every NCAA D1 student athlete, because that's kind of the target market that we're starting with. To give us a database, I think, of 200K athletes, there's a lot. And so from that, we are starting specifically with small groups month over month for athletes that obviously have a good following, that have a track record in the past of creating content, and they want to create more video content and just don't really know how. And also they have social identities. So whether you're talking about sports or you do a lot of workout videos or you talk about your pet a lot, like figuring out what those social identities are. And from that, we then go to brands month over month and onboarding those small groups. So obviously, if we're starting with a group of athletes that talk a lot about mental health or financial wellness, we're obviously going to go to brands like Calm, Headspace, or like fintech services and platforms. So that's kind of the matching and the chicken and the egg back and forth that needs to happen. But we're definitely going to start with supply. And as far as I can say, like one of the case studies that we did was with Black Tip H Fishing, their YouTube channel. It's literally just extreme sports fishing, and they have close to 3 million subscribers, and they're most likely launching with us because they hate YouTube rev share.
I was going to say,
Very
speaking
cool.
of, what is the split between, what's the difference in rev share for you guys versus YouTube?
So I'm testing that out, but I have been doing a lot of research because obviously when it comes to our business model, just relying on ad revenue spooks investors out a little bit. So I have been kind of playing around with the business model. And one of the things that I actually have looked at is Swiss Beats, Dean Collection, no commission. It's very interesting where it's specifically for live events, but they take the ticket sales and they keep that revenue. And then all of the sales for the art goes to the artist. So I'm kind of thinking where we might have a monthly subscription for the brands, and obviously having to figure out like our COGS and our burn to figuring out what that floor is. But 80 to 90% of CPM ad revenue most likely is going to go to the video creator. Because at the end of the day, because we are a marketplace, our supply just has to be happy. Like video creators 9 times out of 10 have to post their video first to us before posting it to YouTube, Instagram TV, and all of these platforms. And so because of that, we just need to just make sure that they're super happy. And I think a rev split that's way beyond what's currently offered will, of course, make them happy at the end of the day. And just making sure that we're matching multiple brands correctly to their videos. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. The supply side of the marketplace being primarily important. From a competition standpoint, are there things that you anticipate? Are there people that that are going to create a challenge, or something that's going to come in and ultimately either try to disintermediate you and your creators, or to try to drive you down on price? I mean, where are those risks and threats out there?
Good question. I feel like obviously when we prove concept, and because we are the first video marketplace that exists like this. The one other one that's even remotely close is FameBit, that was acquired by YouTube, even though they kind of focus on branded influencer content as opposed to original user-generated content and video. But I do assume, obviously, as we kind of hit that J curve a little bit, that more competitors will come in. I think when that starts to happen, obviously we've proven that supply is super happy. They want to stay with us, and kind of making sure that that is kosher, and obviously just like rechecking in with our video creators and making sure if anything needs to change. But I think we're gonna have to shift a little bit on the brand side, our demand, and just really kind of doubling down on our ROI calculation and kind of all of these IP metrics that we have kind of created for our MVP. So just doubling down on that a little bit, because if supply is happy and then brands are also getting an ROI from these videos, and it's maybe 4 or 5 ROI, like that, just kind of doubling down to try and increase that, I think is going to be the differentiator that we have to focus on.
Got it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, so we've talked about YouTube, but we haven't talked about the other video platform that I feel like is the next biggest competitor, sticking on this competitor topic, which is TikTok. How have you seen this? I don't know if people are monetizing on TikTok yet. I'm actually not on there. So I'm curious, how do you guys differentiate between that and TikTok? And do you think they could replicate something like this to then monetize with their current platform that could be a direct competitor by coming into the ad space?
Yeah, so I actually don't ever see any of these platforms changing that 45-55 split. So YouTube does 45-55. IGTV is now starting it. In the next few weeks, they're rolling it out. And then once TikTok decides to allow a rev share, I just don't see it going above 45-55, just because that's industry standard for these platforms that are free, right? So because we are a closed marketplace and it's kind of finding a video, finding a sponsor before it hits the world, then we kind of have that flexibility to be able to charge a subscription, because we're not a platform, a social media platform. So because of that, I just don't see rev splits going below the 45-55 to be able to compete with ours.
Got it. And just one last one. You mentioned you guys are kind of a closed platform. So how are you distributing the videos then?
Yeah, so it's literally just they connect to their social media. And so from our marketplace, they just push it out and it opens their Instagram and YouTube with the video that they edited in there. Like podcasting is super easier because it's just RSS feeds, but because we actually have video, we just have to connect to their social media accounts.
Got it. That makes a lot more sense. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in just because we're out of time. But thank you so much for joining, Tiffany, and telling us more about Curastory. I think investors will really appreciate seeing this video on your profile.
Totally. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks Tiffany. Super interesting.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you.